playing at? Mate, come closer, watch what I fucking do to her. Nah, you fucking open.
No, don't please, don't shoot me now!
The movie begins in London, where tall apartment buildings, called tower blocks, were built after World War II to give people cheap places to live. But over time, these buildings got old and became places where criminals could hide and cause trouble. Developers started buying the buildings to tear them down, but many are still standing because it's hard to remove the people living in them. One of these buildings is called Serenity House. It's supposed to be demolished soon, but only after the last few people living on the top floor are forced to leave. One night, a teenager named Nick is running for his life, trying to escape two men chasing him. He runs into Serenity House, but the elevator is broken, so he races up the stairs to the top floor. He knocks on doors and begs for help, but the people inside ignore him and lock their doors. The two men catch up to Nick and beat him badly. One of the residents, Becky, sees what's happening through her peephole. She tries to call the police, but they put her on hold. She finally steps outside to help Nick, but the men knock her down and beat her too. Then they drag Nick away while he begs for someone to help. The next day, the police come because Nick has been found dead. Becky tells them she didn't see anything and lies, saying her injuries came from a robbery. But Detective Devlin knows the paramedics found her in the hallway and thinks she was attacked by the same men. Becky says she didn't see their faces. Devlin is upset that no one in the building is willing to help. He promises to protect any witnesses, but Becky just closes the door on him. 3 months later, Curtis goes door to door collecting protection money from the neighbors. Becky insults him when she hears the rate is going up. Neville refuses to be intimidated and says he only pays to protect his wife, Vivian. Local dealers Gary and Mark offer their help, but Curtis just takes their cigarette and walks away. In his apartment, Paul tries to avoid drinking, but eventually gives in to his addiction. That night, Becky runs into Jenny, a neighbor who leaves her kids alone to go out partying. Jenny senses Becky is judging her and screams at her. The next morning, the building's internet goes down, and no one can send texts. Becky wakes up next to her coworker, who came over for a one-night stand after a party. They have breakfast and talk about where their relationship might go. Suddenly, the man is shot in the head and drops dead as Becky screams in horror. In a nearby building, a sniper sets up for another shot. In another apartment, Carol and her son Daniel are horrified to watch her husband get shot too. The sniper keeps firing into the windows of all the top-floor apartments, killing some residents and injuring others. A few manage to hide in time. Panicked survivors gather in the hallway, but their phones don't work, so they can't call the police. Carol suggests leaving the building, but the elevator still doesn't work, and Daniel warns that going outside would make them easy targets. Gary shows up with a wounded Mark and begs for help, but Carol reminds him they never protected anyone from Curtis, so they don't deserve help now. Violet, who knows some first aid, asks for alcohol and sheets to treat the wound. Jenny then comes out crying. Both her kids have been killed. Another injured woman stumbles out, and Violet rushes to help, but the woman dies before she can be treated. Her husband, Jeff, is also hurt and calling for help. Becky and Paul crawl on the floor to reach him and bring him to the hallway. When Jeff sees his wife's body, he breaks down. They notice Curtis is missing, so Becky and Paul check on him. She knocks and yells, but he doesn't answer. She kicks the door open, and they search the apartment. Becky finds him in bed. When she touches him, Curtis thinks he's being attacked and shoves her into the furniture. He grabs her knife, so she quickly tells him about the sniper and the dead neighbors. Curtis doesn't believe her and tries to force her to open the curtains, but she's scared of being shot. Paul hits Curtis with a trash can and demands he look for himself, while Becky escapes his grip. The two hide behind a wall as Curtis opens the curtains, and his pillow is immediately blown apart by a bullet. After changing clothes, Curtis joins the others in the hallway. The group discusses the situation and wonders if the building developer is responsible, but they think the police would suspect him too easily. It's also not some random maniac. The gun is expensive military-grade equipment with a laser sight. The walls are covered in homemade posters with emoticons, and since the internet was probably shut off on purpose, they realize this is a well-planned attack. Becky checks the fire escape, but it's too exposed. Neville suggests waiting until police hear the shots or the sniper leaves. However, Mark is in serious pain and needs a doctor. Becky says if they can get downstairs, they might be able to escape through the back door without being seen. Curtis wants to go back to his apartment and wait it out, but Neville reminds him they've been paying him for protection. When Curtis tries to walk away, Neville knocks him down with a few punches, revealing he's a former soldier. Becky takes the opportunity to kick Curtis in the groin and tells everyone he's no longer in charge. The group begins trying to open the elevator doors. Daniel brings his father's tools. Jeff uses them and manages to open the doors, only to be shot dead immediately. Everyone runs to hide. Becky uses a mirror and sees that the sniper set a trap. Curtis removes the gun, and he and Becky carry Jeff's body back to the apartment where his wife's body is. Afterward, Becky, Paul, and Curtis begin climbing down the elevator shaft ladder. They reach the ground floor and open the doors with the tool. The walls there are also covered in posters. They try the back door, but it's jammed shut. Curtis uses the tools to unscrew it. Paul removes the door, only to find a massive container blocking the exit. It's so heavy they can't move it. The trio has no choice but to go back up to the top floor. Meanwhile, Mark is still in serious pain and keeps taking medicine, ignoring Gary's warnings. The group discusses other escape ideas. Becky suggests someone should get to the roof and climb down the back of the building using bed sheets. Violet argues that the sheets wouldn't be long enough and proposes tying together fire hoses instead. An argument breaks out over who should go, as it's too dangerous. They begin to wonder again why all of this is happening. Jenny looks at the paper with emoticons and realizes they represent the three wise monkeys. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. She concludes that they're being killed as revenge for not helping Nick or the police. Accepting her fate, Jenny announces she wants to reunite with her kids. She enters her apartment and is immediately shot dead. Everyone is devastated, but Curtis calls them hypocrites for judging Jenny on how she handled her noisy children. As night falls, Carol suggests turning off all the lights and sneaking out. However, others point out the sniper probably has night vision. Curtis notices the emoticons have been painted on the walls, and specifically on Mark and Gary's door. When confronted, the duo claims to know nothing. Curtis locks them in their apartment and yells at them for being careless, accusing them of killing Nick. When they keep denying it, Curtis squeezes Mark's wound until he confesses. It turns out Mark and Gary were the thugs who beat Nick up over a debt, but killing him was an accident. They speak so loudly that others hear from the corridor and begin to debate whether they should hand the duo over to the sniper to save themselves. Curtis agrees they should take responsibility. When they refuse, he starts beating them. After a few punches, he puts Gary in front of the window and opens the curtain. Gary is instantly shot. The others panic and try to open the door, but it's locked. When Curtis sees Mark trying to crawl away, he grabs him, punches him, and holds him against the window. Mark is shot as well. Curtis takes a drink, drops the posters on their bodies, and returns to the hallway, justifying his actions when Becky confronts him. Carol thinks it's over and tries to leave with Daniel, but the others stop her, unsure if the sniper is done. When Becky tries to reason with her, Carol cruelly says Becky can't understand loss because she only lost a bedmate. Becky slaps her in response. The group blocks the fire escape and convinces Carol to leave Daniel behind. Following Curtis's advice, Carol sticks out her arm first. When nothing happens, she steps out. She begins descending the stairs, and Daniel rushes out before the others can stop him. They follow, reaching the back door. Daniel uses the intercom to say they're okay. But as Carol walks a few steps farther, the sniper shoots and kills her. A terrified Daniel uses a metal sheet as a shield and tries to run. But the sniper shoots his hand, forcing him to drop it, then kills him too. Becky, determined, insists on trying her roof plan. Paul tells her to stay. She's the only one with a brain, and volunteers to go instead. He explains he has no one in his life. Becky hugs him to thank him. The group begins tying the fire hoses together. They pause when they notice Paul is shaking. He explains he hasn't had water in 24 hours. Curtis brings whiskey, and Paul drinks until he feels better. Curtis then uses a hammer to break the lock on the roof door. Violet opens it and is immediately shot by a second sniper. She dies in Neville's arms as he breaks down. The others sneak onto the roof and tie the hose to some pipes. Paul climbs over the edge and starts descending. At first, it seems to work, but the sniper begins shooting at the hose. Curtis runs out to distract the sniper, but it's not enough. The hose snaps, and Paul falls to his death. Becky breaks down, and Curtis restrains her to keep her hidden. They sneak back inside. Becky, furious, says they're going to burn the building down to attract help. The 3 remaining residents agree to share a final meal and some wine. In the morning, Becky and Neville climb down the elevator shaft, while Curtis pours oil around the apartments. Once they're safe on the ground, Curtis throws metal objects in a microwave, turns on the stove, and lights a newspaper to start the fire. As Curtis walks through the hallway, the microwave explodes. A second, bigger explosion happens, and people can see it from outside. While climbing down a ladder, a screw comes loose, and Curtis falls. His leg is hurt. Becky and Neville use their shirts and belts to tie it up. Upstairs, the fire spreads fast. The building owner and his helper arrive, but their phones don't work. When they get out of the car to check the bodies, the sniper shoots them too. This time, the sniper is close. Becky hears the gunshots and tells Neville to carry Curtis into a nearby apartment. She hides on top of the elevator. The sniper throws in a smoke bomb and enters the building to search. When he walks away, Becky sneaks out, escapes the building, and finds a nail gun in the car. She goes back inside and shoots at the sniper. He shoots back and hits her shoulder. Neville and Curtis come out and fight him. The sniper drops his gun. Becky points her gun at him. Neville pulls off the sniper's mask. It's Detective Devlin. He says they all deserve to die for not helping the police. Becky and Neville hit him while talking about Jenny's kids, who were innocent. Curtis tells Becky to stop, saying killing someone will change her forever. While they argue, Devlin tasers Neville and starts beating Becky. Curtis tries to help, but he's too hurt. Just as Devlin is about to shoot Becky, she grabs the nail gun and shoots him in the head. He's finally dead. The 3 survivors walk out of the building as fire trucks arrive. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next video.